We're heading towards the final weekend at the Guardian Hay Festival, but it hasn't slowed down. We've got a pantheon of literary figures arriving: Alan Bennett, MJ Hyland, Sarah Waters, Anne Michaels. And we've also had Desmond Tutu giving a really inspiring speech. He had the audience at the Hay Festival on their feet even before he'd said a word. And the strongest political message he gave was that the Israel-Palestine crisis needs to be solved now before any other problem can be tackled.
If we don't solve that problem, you can give up on all other problems. You can give up on nuclear disarmament. You can give up on ever winning a war against terror. You can give it up. You can give up any hope of our faiths ever working really amicably and in a friendly way together. That this is the problem. And it is in our hands. Thank you.
We've had a real treat here at Hay. The new poet laureate, Duffy, gave readings with her friend and colleague, Gillian Clarke, the national poet for Wales. And there was a really nice synergy between the two poets, so that Duffy would read one poem and then she'd hand over to Gillian Clarke, who'd read another. And there was a delightful conversation going on between the two of them.
"A boy in the playground," I said, "told me to fuck off." And a thrilled, malicious pause sorted my tongue like an imminent storm. Then, uproar. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Barr, Mrs. Hunt, Mrs. Emery, sorry, Mrs. Rain." Yes, I can summon their names: my mother's mute shame, the taste of soap.
I mean, I love Caroline Duffy's poetry and have been kind of following it for a long time. And to hear her read, I mean, there are particular poems. There's a poem called Prayer that I've always loved, and an early one called Litany. She read them with just great feeling and real wit. I mean, she's a brilliant performer as well as a great writer. She read this poem, Mrs. Aesop, from The World's Wife. It's collections of poems sort of by, all told in the voices of the wives of famous men, basically. And it was incredibly funny, and it was just a wonderful event, a brilliant occasion.
Yeah, it's a star turn, that poem, isn't it? Because it does end with Mrs. Aesop threatening to cut off the penis of Aesop.
There's a kind of Bobbit scenario, yeah.
And you've just given your own talk at the event. You've been talking about The Music Room, your new book. You've got your ceremonial author's rose there.
I'm just so thrilled with my rose, proud of it. Yeah, I don't quite know now what to do with it, but you sort of wander around Hay all day. You do see these people wandering around Hay with these really long roses. Not quite sure what to do with them.
What else have you got planned for your stay at Hay?
Friends who are novelists, Tobias Hill's reading in the morning, Kamala Shamsi's reading. I'd love to go and hear all of those. In fact, there are a whole load of things I want to go and hear. Alan Bennett, I've managed to get a ticket to. And you really see the hierarchy of authors and how their ticket prices. I think I'm £5, Alan Bennett's £25, Desmond Tutu's £50. You kind of see where you are in the pecking order. I think it's the only festival that does that, of the sort of a real hierarchy. Maybe if I can get to £7, I really feel like I'd made it.
Well, you did better than me, Will, because I was £4. I was at the bottom of the heap.